Hello, hello, hello. Getting everybody back into the room. Hi, everyone. Hello, hello. Okay, there we go. Everybody's getting back in. Here we go. Hi, everyone. What's up? What's up? What's up? We're going to get Jacquelyn back into the room. That was so good. It was getting so good. I was so into it. Oh,
Hi!
yes! Girl, I normally always put my phone on do not disturb, and then of all people, my dad called, and I'm like, sir, you should be watching this. What are you doing calling my phone?
Girl,
Like,
I thought it was me. I thought it was my Wi-Fi. I turned my Wi-Fi off.
no, girl, I'm like, what's happening? Let me tell you something. 2020, but it also, wait, actually, I was about to say it's Mercury retrograde, but I'm not sure. I feel like we're coming to the end of it, but I digress. Here we are. We're back. We left off on you talking about my soul sister, Oprah. You said she came to Apple's campus. You were here for it all. She gave you your life, and then you saw a video of her on YouTube, right?
Yes. So thank you for that refresher. But yes, I watched this video on YouTube with Oprah, and I will share it with you so you can probably share it on the story.
Yes, please do.
I always talk about this interview because it was just so resonating with me.
Isn't it a brown background when she's wearing like a white outfit?
No, she's being interviewed by like a graduate student at like an Ivy League school.
Was it Stanford?
Yes.
I know exactly what video you're talking about.
Yes.
I have a clip of it on my I live for that video.
The name couldn't come to me, but yes, when she had the interview at Stanford.
Yes.
That changed my life and just made me view things a little bit differently. And you and I had a conversation, which I'd love to talk about a little bit, about manifestation and just not always feeling in the groove of always like being so positive or, you know, that I'm gonna manifest this every single day. And I praise anyone who is doing that every single day.
Right.
But for me, it looks very different every day. I wake up feeling different every day. I have different tasks every day. And my goals change like every other day. So
I feel that, me.
So, you know, I do believe that there are certain things that I am continuously working on in manifesting. Like I started to say some affirmations in the morning. This morning, this came out.
I love a good affirmation.
Doing some affirmations. I was like, I'm a billionaire. And then I started brushing my teeth and I was like,
I'm a billionaire. That's crazy. I'm a billionaire. Let me tell you something. If you guys don't do affirmations, I feel like it's like the practice that most people know about, like other than like writing it down and scripting and journaling it out. I feel like second or low-key first might be affirmations at this point. And it's something that everybody knows about, but not everybody practices. And I'm like, y'all, it is so much power in repeating affirmations, especially in the mirror. So brushing your teeth is a great time to do it.
I was in the mirror and I saw myself.
I'm a billionaire. You're right. I'm a billionaire. Like the energy comes through so intense when you're looking at yourself. Because at first, the thing about affirmations is like, you know, it hasn't happened yet, but you're basically trying to convince your higher self and the energy in the universe that it has already, right? So it's like while you're doing it mentally, you're like, yeah, I'm a billionaire. All right. But after you say it about 10 or 15 times, you're like, that's crazy. I'm a billionaire. I know.
And then you're like, people don't even know. They don't even know.
Exactly. Now, when you do find out, don't hit my line. I'm not looking for 50 imaginary cousins coming out of the blue trying to get my money. So, like,
exactly.
Yes. But shout out to that Oprah video, because I'm not even gonna lie, that video really got me into manifestation too. There's a section, I think I watched this video enough that I put it on the page, and it's a little bit further down because it was a couple months ago, I think.
Girl, I did the same
But
thing.
there was, right, it's so good. There's a part in the video where she was talking about trusting that little voice in your head, and she was saying there are no wrong turns or no wrong move in life, because everything,
there is no such thing as a wrong path, as a wrong journey.
Exactly.
Like every decision you make leads you to the right path.
Exactly. Look at you, summarized it perfectly. And I was like, wow. And once you start taking those moves and turns through life, and you're like, wow, this is the wrong move. I should have waited. I should have stayed here. I should have done this. After a while, you start going through it, and you're like, well, you know what? She's right. Like, there are no wrong turns, because no matter what, basically in the video she was saying there are no wrong paths, you just might take a little detour, but at the end of the day
Right.
you're still coming to the same path.
Exactly.
And that's kind of how I look at so many parts of my life. I'm like, well, maybe I shouldn't have done that, but I'm like, you know what, it's just a detour. It's getting me to the same ending no matter what. So I look at, honey, we are already starting strong. I love it. Anytime I can start the discussion with Oprah, I'm like, here we go.
Yes, I know.
Here we go. I just want to preface and say, for anyone who's curious, she is my soul twin. Her birthday is like a day or two before mine, and I'm here for it all. And I feel like if I haven't had the chance to meet her up close. I've had one of those encounters where I was like, oh, it's Oprah. Hey.
At least you saw her in person.
Exactly. Yeah. It was at
I just knew I was gonna, well, I manifested that moment. I really
did. Let me tell you something. I am manifesting my moment too. And I'm like, when it happens, it's gonna be crazy. I'm gonna be like, girl, it's taken so long to get here.
I wish I would have, I wish I could redo it over. So, you know, one day.
Yes, one
we'll
day.
Be in the same room again, and you know,
yes.
I won't be like,
who knows? We might be at brunch together or something, and she might walk up to us. Who knows? I'm manifesting a boo. Like that is. Let me tell you something. Oprah is the top. She is my top. She is my one. I love that woman. She can do no wrong in my eyes. So that's where we sit. And she too is kind of what got me into manifesting that. And the book, The Secret, I feel like gets a lot of people into manifesting.
I was just. Honestly, I have it very close by. Yes. And I was going to mention that too. And I cannot take the credit. One of my TGR girls, Juliana, she put me and the entire team on. But from what I read so far, it's really powerful. And I wish I had learned about it sooner. They also have the documentary on Netflix if you're not a reader.
Yes, that honestly, that's what got me into the book. I think the documentary, first off, I completely missed it when it was hyped. To be fair, we were fairly young. I think it was like hyped in like the late 90s or early 2000s, so I was all of like 6. But so clearly I missed it. But once I got older, someone kept mentioning the book, and I'm not going to hold you. I'm not a book person. I've forced myself to become a book person, but I'm a huge movie person. Huge movies. If you give me a movie or you give me a video or even an audio book, I can do an audio book all day long, but an actual book is something about, now I like them, but at the time I just had the attention span of like a squirrel, you know?
I understand, yeah. I'm now getting back into it, and my attention span, I know. I get it.
I'm like, okay, so we're getting there. But at the time, I was like, I don't really want to read the book. And someone was like, they have a movie. And I was like, why not? And I watched it, and it like the way the movie is even produced, it goes so quick that it kind of holds your attention. So it's like it switches from people to like a little simulation to an example, how to, and I was really in it, and I was like, well, let me read the book. And then once I got the book and read it, I was like, okay, it's literally the exact script of the movie. Got it. So I basically had already read the book, but after I read that book, that was when I really got deep into manifesting. After I realized it's like there was a part of the movie that stuck to me. It was like, whether you're practicing it or not, manifestation is a thing. It's happening. Like the law of attraction exists, whether you believe it does or not. Like whether I believe in gravity or not, and the law of gravity, if I step off a building, I'm gonna fall, right? I don't have to believe in it to know that it's gonna work, right? So I'm like, you know what? Wow. So then I was like, well, if it's working, I might as well try to find a way to use it in my favor and to start trying to practice really effective ways to make the most out of the events that are happening in my life. And the moment when I really got into manifesting, because it's definitely, I would say, for anybody out there who's getting into manifesting, I always say The Secret is a great place to start, because it tells you about the law of attraction, manifestation, and it's really high level. But the more you get into manifestation, you realize how very top level the book is. So the one thing that I will say is my gripe with The Secret is it tells you the principle of it, but it doesn't necessarily bring the most realistic practices into it. Like I feel like a lot of the examples in the book, like one example that's really popular is like a red bicycle, and it's like a little kid who says he wants a red bicycle, so he cuts out a photo, puts it on a vision board, and just thinks he already has the bicycle and the bicycle comes to him. I'm like, I feel that for some of my manifestations, they come like that. But others, you know, you got to work for it. Like, so for example, if you wanted to manifest the girls' room, or I wanted to manifest Soul Sister Network, it's not going to come into fruition by me sitting on my couch and writing it on a vision board. You got to work for it, boo. You know? So what? Like, you couldn't be like, you know what? I want, you know, this new beautiful editor to come to me. I'm not going to work for it. I'm not going to put no posting up about it. I'm not going to talk to people about it. Like, it's very much in the sense that things will just come to you. When the more I manifest, I realize like a lot of things will come to you, but a lot of stuff you kind of got to put something out for it to meet you halfway, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yes. So let's get into it. Hello.
For everyone who's joining, hi.
Yes, for everyone who's
so much.
Yes, this is Jacquelyn, the founder of The Girls Room. Did you get that from Amanda? What was that? Was that all
Amanda
all
Bynes? That? No, I didn't. No. I actually got the name from an Instagram caption that I made. Yes. And I was making the website, and I went through my Instagram feed and saw the caption, and I was like, this is it. And I deleted the photo and I took the name.
I love it. Up with the name. I love it. Every time I see it, that's what I say in my head. So I just always
understand that,
because that's what I thought it was. That's what it was. So we love it. But shout out to you, inspiring you. That reminds me of that acceptance speech by Snoop Dogg when he's like, "I like to thank me." You know what I'm talking about? When he went and like accepted an award. And you know, normally when people accept awards, they're like, wow, I want to thank my manager, God, my mom.
Yeah.
Like, I like to thank me. I like to thank me for believing in me for always. I was like, yes.
Honestly, Snoop Dogg is one of those celebrities that I definitely just want to like kick it with.
For sure. I'm not even a smoker, but if Snoop Dogg handed me something, I would definitely smoke it. It just feels like what you have to do. You know what I mean? Like you gotta meet people. I feel like he would be the best, like just kick back, smoke, chill with them, and then I would leave and we would just call each other. He would call me Meek Meek and I'll call him Uncle Snoop.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, I'm so glad someone sent us a question. I'm so glad you did that. Hello. I want to preface by saying that I'm about to answer this question, but if anyone has any other specific questions for me or Jacquelyn, be sure to send them below because I might miss them as they're scrolling up. But we have one from Ariel. She says, about manifesting what you have to work at, how do you visualize all the smaller steps? I love that question. Yeah, so I guess this is a follow-up to what I was mentioning earlier, when instead of like sitting on the couch and trying to manifest something, things that you have to work at, like when you started the girls' room. So as you were manifesting and trying to create the girls' room, how did you visualize it? Or did you even have a moment where you sat and visualized what you wanted it to become, what you wanted it to look like? Like, what did that look like for you?
Yeah, honestly, I've been manifesting the girls' room my entire life.
I love it.
I don't think that like this is something that I've just like, you know, just fell out of the sky for me. I think I've always wanted to be a writer. I loved writing. I went to school for journalism. I went to school for film. At 15, 16, I was a part of a documentary diversity film program, and it was based on diversity. And this was something that I won an award for my documentary. I went to school for dance, and a lot of my friends growing up were in entertainment or had family members who were well established in entertainment. And so after school, in high school, I would just watch my friends practice, and they actually just had their music on Apple's latest launch of iPhone, and just like their keynote in general. And so that was like such a big moment for me too, to see that. But yeah, all of those little things in my life are a full picture of what TGR currently is. So I've always been kind of wanting to do these types of things, just at different stages of my life and in different areas. And I just thought, I don't have to do one or the other. I want to do all of them.
All of it. Yes.
And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of how the girls' room came about. And where my passions lie and what my team currently executes.
Yes, I love that. I love that. First off, thank you, Ariel, again for sending this question. I would say for me, as a piggyback to what you said, it's ironic because Soul Sister Network is something that I've always wanted to launch too. I didn't really figure out what it was going to look like until 2016, actually, I feel like is when I figured out, like, okay, this is what I kind of wanted to look like. This is what I wanted to be about. And I knew I wanted it to be about manifestation, but I just drug my feet on it. I dragged my feet. I dragged my feet. I found a million excuses of why it didn't need to exist, of why, like, there are so many other pages. Like, why do I need to make mine now? Like, but it just, you know, and then for a weird moment, I didn't even think there was like space for me. It's weird because I mean, like, now it's like a community that has like 5.4K. We did that today, so I was like, yay, it's a little baby community. Thank you. And then you guys are at 20 or 22K now.
I think 22.
I
don't really keep up with it that much as I used to, just because I know it can drive you a little bit crazy.
Definitely.
But yeah, congratulations on creating your community. And honestly, don't ever say it's small, because I feel like as long as people are watching, that's large enough, you know.
Exactly. But I can't remember who said it, but someone in the comments to what you said, Ariel, said to make it fun. And that is definitely a big thing for me. It's easy for me. Come on. Just Selena, please, said 22.4K, sis. Yes, come in with the numbers. I love it, team. I love it, honey. That's the way it's supposed to be, honey. Family coming in with the yes, I love it. But a way to visualize it on smaller steps is, I feel like what the person said, is to make it a little bit more fun. Like when you take the stress out of situations and make it a little bit more like a game, or bring something a little bit high vibe into the situation, it's easier to manifest things. At least that's for me.
Yeah, I think for me, naturally, I'm a competitive person.
Love it.
And I mean that like in the most friendliest way. But like for me, I like to compete with myself, like put challenges for myself. Right. Like I challenge you to like reach this much by end of so and so. So like I'm ready to competitive like within myself. And you know, at work, me and my coworkers used to have, well, in person, we used to have like friendly competitions, like, okay, I will help this many people and get like this many surveys. So yeah, I really don't believe in like competition, you know what I mean? Because I'm all for like collaborating and the purpose of this conversation. But I think it's always such a good thing to like just set challenges for yourself, you know, and try to achieve those. As far as smaller steps for me, I started with manifestation with writing things down.
Love it.
So I know I talked about my journey with TGR and how it came to fruition, but I don't think I really answered this person's question, so I really want to. So for me, it felt like writing things down. A perfect example is my current apartment. I have a journal in which I write all my stuff down, and if I go through those pages, there's like probably like 10 pages of me just writing in different ways. Like, this apartment is mine. I will move in by this date. I will be paying this much. The process will be easy. Like just things like that. And then after I do those things, I write completed next to it in a marker. And then like check that off. And then I put the day and like the month and the date that I completed that. So I think that also holds yourself accountable. Like, okay, I wrote this down on this day. Let me see how long it takes me to get to this. And also setting deadlines. That could be something so small too. So writing and deadlines holds yourself accountable. And then also gives you something to look forward to. So you're like, okay, I know that in 2 weeks, like I need to get this done. And then if you don't get it done in 2 weeks, you're like, okay, you're not too hard on yourself because you know that you've did the most to get it done. And if you don't get it done, then you give yourself an extension, but you make sure that you abide by that, you know? So just be true to yourself and honest with yourself with that.
I love that. That was such, you know what I like about that? That's a very realistic answer to this. And I love making manifestation realistic. Like
that's
giving yourself, and then giving yourself a deadline. I don't think anybody has ever gave that advice before on the segment. And I love that, because sometimes when you're trying to manifest something and you know you don't have control over whether you get something or not, it's easy to not give yourself a deadline, just to be like, well, I'll see, I don't know. But like you mentioned, a lot of the times if you give yourself a deadline, sometimes the universe will really pull things out of the air if you're moving like you have to get something done by a certain date and a certain time. Like, for example, if you were like, I kind of want an apartment, I kind of want it to be here, I guess I'll figure it out, you know. But if that's like, if you put something on it with a deadline, it gives you a certain level of energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, like, especially now with being indoors and not being in our regular routine, whatever that may look like outdoors, it's easy for these days to just feel like another day. And so setting a deadline is really important. And like, I have an alarm going off right now and I know what that's for. So like, that's another thing. Like setting an alarm.
I also,
because you just forget.
Girl, that is me. I was about
it's so
to
natural to just forget.
I was about to reach for my phone, forgetting that I'm doing this live on my phone. But if I could pull up my phone, I would show you my alarms. And I have an alarm every 5 minutes, because that's how I just keep track of my day. I'm like, God, I got an alarm for this. I got an alarm for that. I have an alarm for this. Respond back to this person at this time. That's me. When I wake up, I have to set an alarm. That's how, which I guess in a way, they're like mini deadlines for me. I never even thought about it that way.
It is.
But I will take this level of advice. First off, if you guys aren't writing down your manifestations, definitely do it. Keep track of the things that you want, and then be intentional on going back and marking when they're completed and putting a date. That's so smart. I've never gone back through and checked off like completed and checked off like the date. There have been so many things. I'll go back and I'll check it, right? But I won't put like a date to be like, girl, look how long it took you. Look how long. Like that, honestly, I feel like could be really effective. Yes. Okay, so let's get into it. So I told you before we got up here that I wanted to know, like, top to bottom, an experience of you like manifesting something. Hold on, let me take this question down. Thank you again for that question, Ariel. Something top to bottom that you manifested, you know, the trials, the tribulations, everything that you kind of went through and how it ended up settling. So I'm ready to hear the tea, sis. What's something that you manifested? It could, you know, I feel like we talked a little bit about the girls' room. So it could be the girls' room. It could be your 9 to 5. It could be a little bit more about your apartment. But what's an experience when by the time you manifested it, you were like, oh, I did that. What's up?
There's so many that comes to mind. I think I talked about 2 so far, which was, 3 possibly. Oprah. I definitely manifested, you know, that experience. My apartment that I'm currently sitting in and very grateful for. And the girls' room. I'm trying to think what else. I could expand a little bit more about my apartment. I think,
which is funny because of the 3 things you listed, I was like, I want to know how she got the apartment.
Everyone wants to know. No, so yeah, let's see, where can I even start? After graduating, I wanted to move back to New York City. This is where I'm from. All my friends were moving back. I was like, damn. And I was moving back to New York City, and I actually manifested an apartment before this. And that apartment was a very luxury, nice apartment. In Bushwick in Brooklyn. It only took me like 15 minutes to get to work, which was in Soho. So it was so nice. It was so convenient. But the experience within the apartment was not what I manifested. And so I just knew I needed to get out of that environment. But I was pushing the girls' room and started it there. And I think the environment that I was in is what inspired me to kind of like have something to look forward to every day.
I'm gonna come back to that.
And then I just knew I wanted to get out of that apartment, and I heard back from my current apartment, and ever since I heard back, I was just like, I literally was just like writing it down every day, talking about it all the time, talking to my mom about it, talking to every like person who was really, really close to me, knew that I was going through this process for this apartment. And I just like really found myself some days like on the train, like heading to work, just like writing it down. Like that's how bad I wanted it. I just wanted it so bad. And I didn't know any other way to make it happen because I already gave them all the information. I just had to wait. And so what else can I do while I wait? And and the thing I can do is to speak it into existence and to just really be positive and hopeful that it will work out. And don't get me wrong, there were a lot of times where I felt like, oh, this isn't gonna work out. Like I'm bugging, this is not gonna work. I'm not gonna get it. They're not gonna pick me. And sometimes you have to have the people in your life to remind you that you're tripping and that you need to continue to manifest things. Because like I said, manifestation, for me, and I speak about my personal experience, is that it's not positive every single day. And it's not every day that I'm like, I'm going to be a billionaire, you know? It's not realistic. You know, one morning I wake up and I'm just like, who's going to pay my student tuition? Like, are they going to like, are they going to forgive loans? You know what I mean?
Girl, that's like, me. I'm like, honey, keep these things in default until Joe Biden gets in office and like forgives this so I can get on with my life. Like,
I went today.
Yes, honey, I did an absentee ballot, so let's go North Carolina.
It's something.
And North Carolina is almost turning blue, so I'm like, maybe my little absentee ballot will just
Yo, for real. But that's so real though, like, you know, and not every day I feel this way. So I think that with manifestation, it is important to manifest other things other than like, like instead of saying like, oh, I'm manifesting like this apartment, right? I think something that I want to manifest in the near future, for example, is like being peaceful, like being at peace. Because then if I manifest being at peace and I'm always at peace, or for the most part, not always, because again, being realistic, for the most part, at least if I can hone that, then I think that everything else would be easier to manifest or be easier to, you know, deal with. In a way. So you don't only have to manifest like certain materialistic things.
Glad you said that. You are the first. It's a lot of first happening tonight because you're the first person who has ever said anything about manifesting feelings and not necessarily manifesting material things. You're the first person who's come up here and said, I want to manifest peace. For sure. I tell people that all the time when I talk about some of the things that I've manifested. Peace is always like having a peace of mind is the number one thing that I'm so proud that I have manifested. I'm like, you know what? And again, but like you said, you have your days. You have your days when you're feeling really good and you're like, wow, you've come so far. Can you like, you're at peace, babe. But then you have other days when you're crying, getting out of bed, you're sad, life is kind of tossing and turning you and you're just trying to hold on and figure it out. Like everybody's going to have those days. Also,
LOL. I had to laugh at this person who said, F these loans. I've forgiven myself. That's why I kind of laughed like in the middle of you explaining things. So I read that and I just had to laugh. Whoever said that, like, you're so funny.
In all
that's me.
That literally F these loans. I've forgiven myself. No, I'm not even gonna hold you. That is 100% me. I'm definitely not the budgetista of my friends. I'm not even gonna hold you. My loans have been in deferment since I paid them for like a year after college, and then I realized nothing was happening. I was like, you know what? I'd rather just keep this money in my pocket. So let's just keep deferring them until they decide to forgive them.
It's like, the interest. Well, I'm hoping and praying that, you know, when Bernie, oh my God, girl, I literally shedded tears. I think I was out. I was at Target, and I was like, so student loans, like
he was really going for it. I was like, wow, you're really gonna consider like, please, sir, please do. Will someone please, it doesn't even have to be like everyone in Everdom, just do like people from like the last like 15 years. Just that's it. Exactly. Or really all of them. You know what I mean? Like if we go manifest, we should manifest for everybody. Everybody can get their check. I'm like, just forgive them so I can move on with my life. Y'all can move on with your life. Because realistically, they're not going to see anything from me anyway. If I'm cute.
They try to manifest.
Girl, I could give exactly. I'm not
gonna
even hold you. I could. Well, when I do become a billionaire, FAFSA is still gonna be like, sis. I'm just like, look, I'm just not trying to deal with it. But yes, back to manifesting feelings. I love that. I love that for you. I'm reflecting that back to you too, sis. So
thanks.
Shout out to all the peace in the world. I'm going to go back to, you were basically talking about you thinking that you being in that old apartment situation is, in that environment, is really what helped you to birth the girls' room.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit more about what it's like to create when you're in like a negative space. And that could be a physical negative space or a mental negative space.
Yeah, I think for me, I was already like, I love whiteboards. I have one like right here. You can't really, yeah.
Girl, I thought you said I love white boys. I was like, wow, okay.
No, I've never had one, but
did you see my face? I was like, we could go there too. Go to an apartment.
I mean, some of them are foreign, but they're not specifically my type.
Okay, but the whiteboards, we love
so
it.
yes, I have a whiteboard, and when I was in Albany, I would always like write down ideas and things like that, and what I wanted to do and stuff. And when I moved back to New York City, that was something that I was continuously doing. And I wouldn't. Yeah, I guess it was. Yeah, I guess it was a toxic environment. I could say. I mean, in the moment, you're not like, I'm in a toxic environment. But after when you're looking back at things, you're like, actually, it was pretty cool.
Got a couple of environments like that, and I'm like, oh, wow, girl, how did you even make it through? That's me half the time. But I'm like, you know what, God, yes.
I knew I was gonna be fine, but even
I know that's right. You're like,
these people, they like little flies that just won't leave you alone.
That's how it always is, girl.
Like a lot of people are just not worth my energy. And so I love it. They were just really frustrated with the fact that, and it would be hilarious if any one of them are in here. But they were just really upset with the fact that like I came home and I went to my room and I just like was focused on me, and I wasn't really here for the chit chat and like becoming friends and things like that. And you know, if that's what you want to do that. But for me, that's not what I was living there for. I'm very to myself, and especially when it comes to my space, like I'm very to myself. And so that kind of caused some tension because it didn't align with other people's expectations of me and what they wanted me to do, and wanting to be cool with me. And I was just like, you know, like we're cool, but we're not like
we're cool, but we ain't cool. So like,
but to answer your question, I think that it fueled me, it motivated me, it kept me busy. I was even more like in and out of the house. I was even more out of the house. I was more in the studio, shooting content and interviews, and I was just doing things, and I lived right by the studio. So it only took me like 10 to 15 minutes. Actually, it took me like 8 minutes to get there by Uber. And so, that environment, it didn't faze me because I knew that it was below me. And I just knew that like, it just wasn't worth my time, but it definitely inspired me to create and to focus on myself even more. Because it's hard to focus on yourself when there's people like, you know. Okay.
Girl, where were you in this advice when I was like cussing out my roommate on 106 in Columbus? I really wish they...
Don't get... No.
Girl,
I have definitely given them a piece of my mind before. But after that one time, I was just like, you know, like, it didn't have to get there. And you allowed it to get there because, like, you gave that energy to them.
Yeah, you gave that energy. You gave it to them. That's, oh God, if I could go back and talk to the Kanique that was so quick to argue with my roommates. Shout out to the last roommate I had. She was fantastic, and we never parted ways until we both moved out of the city. She's the only person I've ever been able to live with. Like after a certain period, I was like, you know what? Is it me? And the answer is still no. But still, the answer is probably not, because I just felt like I ended up with a bunch of crazy people. So they were crazy, but my response could have always been different. My response was always on 12. My response was always coming and cussing you out because I feel disrespected, and you're not going to disrespect me. But now at this point, I'm like, my peace is so much bigger than that one moment. So at this point, it's hard to get me to argue with you. It takes a lot, because now I look at my peace as like really sacred. So in order for you to come and like mess up my peace, I'm like, is this person even worth it? Like, if you're not my mama, or like,
who are you?
You know what I mean? Like, if you're not in this very small group of people, it's really not even worth the stress. It's not worth the drama.
For sure.
And these people were upset because they didn't like, because you weren't talking. Like, I can't. That's such a New York City situation, girl.
And none of them, I think two of them were not even from New York City. It was just a really interesting environment. And I think a lot of people experience that, whether they're in college or even after, it's not easy to live with people. But that's when I started to manifest my new apartment. And I was like, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get a new apartment. I've only been here for, I think I was only living there for like 4 months when I was like, gotta go. And I, the process wasn't easy, because now I have to speak to the brokers and things like that and say like, hey, like I want to move out, and then ask them, what does that look like? And now I'm waiting on them to respond. And then I had to start looking for people to replace me. And it sounds like a lot, right? If you just listen to all the things that you have to do to replace someone to move out, you're like, you know what? I'm gonna just stay. Right? But for me in that moment, I knew that I had to take things step by step. It was like, okay, first I need to get this other apartment. And then I started working on that. And then I'm like, okay, that started working out. Now I need to start looking for a replacement. Where do I even look? I didn't even know where to look. So I started off on Facebook, and I started.
Let me ask you a question about when you're in that environment and you're like, okay, what I like about what you just said is you were like, okay, so I knew I needed to start and I knew I needed to get to this next point, but I didn't even know where to look. So when it came time for you to look, were you outwardly trying to figure it out, or do you feel like the universe was aligning things as you started to figure it out, if that makes sense?
No, I think that once I started to figure it out, like once I started to post about it, then I used to be like, okay, like I'm going to find somebody, like there are a lot of people out there in New York City. There are a lot of people who are just like me, looking for a place to stay. Like, I'm going to find someone by this date.
Which is exactly what you were talking about before. With a deadline.
So I had a deadline. I had a week. To find somebody. Within that week, I found 2 people. I showed the apartment to those 2 people, and that's when I think that the universe started to align with me, because none of my housemates were home. So people were viewing it and seeing it, and it happened 2 times that day. And the last girl was like, I'll take it. And I was like, perfect.
Perfect. Sign it before you take my wife.
And then I told my housemates, and they weren't too happy about it. But that's basically how that worked out.
Yes. And I love, it kind of ties into what we were saying before about not having an unrealistic expectation of what manifestation is. So when it came time for you to move out of your apartment, you weren't going to sell it by doing absolutely nothing. And it wasn't like the universe was basically like bringing people to your doorstep to move in, but you put out the ask and you were trying to find people actively. And the moment that you put the ask out there, someone answered, and then the universe started to align things to be a little bit easier.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like, I need to move out, and then it's like someone's hitting me up like, hey, do you know somebody looking for an apartment?
That is which sounds crazy, but that low-key high-key is how a lot of people treat manifestation. People treat manifestation like it's like a magic trick. Like it's like, I'm just gonna close my eyes and I want a job, and I'm just gonna like, I dream of Genie. Is that the name of the show?
And sometimes, honestly, I don't want to say that it doesn't work. In certain time, like in certain areas.
On what you're trying to manifest.
Yeah, because I feel like there has been certain things in my life that I have tried to manifest or make happen because that's what I wanted in the moment. Yep. And that just didn't work out that way. And then I'm like, well, I guess it wasn't meant for me to get, you know, into this school or like, you know what I mean? But I think that a lot of it had to do with either like timing or being guided to the right path, whatever that path may look like, or even putting me to a detour because I need to, and maybe looping me back later. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things that go into it because I don't want people to walk away thinking like, okay, well, she said if I put a deadline and I write things down and if I speak it in the morning in the mirror, that it's going to happen, because that's not entirely true. I would say it's about 70%. And then the rest of it has to do with timing, alignment, and then like the work you're putting in, and you know what I mean? Like just other factors.
It's layers to it. It's layers, like you're saying. And I don't think everyone understands sometimes that manifesting is layers. And the biggest holdup is divine timing. Like sometimes you can want something right now. Yeah. But, you know, it's one of those things where it's like the universe, in a sense, knows so much more than you do. So it's like you could ask for something right now, but you know how sometimes if you ask for something too soon or if you wait too long, the opportunity just kind of passes you by, or you feel like it passes you by, but really it just wasn't meant for you at that time. I was reading a book called Crushed by T.D. Jakes, and it's basically the premise of the book is basically talking about like sometimes God, whoever, maybe you believe in God, maybe you don't, whatever, but it's basically saying sometimes God, the universe, crushes you in order to turn you into something bigger and greater that you necessarily wouldn't have intended. So like grapes get smashed to become wine, and you know, a seed, you have to bury it for it to kind of like bloom into a flower or a plant or whatever. So there's a in-between phase that he talks about in the book, and I think it's called a vat. Like after you stomp on all the grapes, when you're making wine, you put it in a vat and it literally just kind of has to sit there and rotate. And when it's rotating for, I don't know, like a couple of hours. And they say it feels like if you were the grape, you would think that like nothing is happening. But really the whole premise of that happening is because if you don't spin it long enough, it won't ferment and the sugar won't be able to turn into alcohol, right? So if it takes 2 hours and I pull it out in an hour, it's going to be like, okay, this isn't even liquor, I'm not drunk, right? But if you spin it for too long, it turns into red wine vinegar. So then it becomes too bitter, and then you can't get drunk off of it because now it's nasty vinegar. Like, who wants to drink vinegar, you know? So that's kind of how I look at the manifestation process too. Like, let's say I really want a spouse, or I really want a new job, right? I might want the job right now, but what I don't know is I don't know what all is coming into this manifestation. I don't want to get to it too quick.
That's exactly what I was referring to.
Yeah, like, exactly. Like, I don't want to get to it too quick, because if I get to it too quick, I might fail at the job. Like, if let's say you really want a job at Google. Anybody
I have a perfect example.
Boom, you get into it. You're here to give the examples. You do it, sis.
So, all right. So basically, I felt stagnant, and I think I don't want to say I often feel like that, but like every 6 months, I'm like, oh, like I need something, right? That's just me, and so I felt like that with my job. I was like, I need something. I need something either new, I need a promotion, or I just need to leave. Like, I just need something, right? And so at that time, I actually came across an opportunity within the company to intern. And I was like, can I do it? I was like, I'm going to just apply. So I applied. And then in my journal, the same one, I was writing on my way to work, like, today, so-and-so is going to tell me that I got it. And it didn't happen that day. That person didn't tell me that day. That person told me literally a month later.
Dang.
But I still said it. I still wrote it down. I still believed it. And I ended up getting it. And it wasn't a promotion, but it was a once-in-a-lifetime internship at Apple Park doing amazing things. And so, you know, I think that is a perfect example of like wanting a new job.
It's a great example. That's a great example.
It didn't work out, but I got an internship, and that I would never trade that for anything, you know?
Exactly. Because sometimes they're like I forgot who said this, but someone who was giving me advice before said you have to give like the universe space to surprise you. And I was like, oh, I kind of like that, because there's sweetness in surprise. Like if life happened the exact way you thought it was going to happen, you would probably be bored out your mind. You don't know what would have happened. But if you give the universe space to like surprise you, it's like, oh, like I'm a little dramatic anyway, so I live for like a little bit of drama, you know? So my life kind of sort of manifests in a little bit of like a dramatic way. I always tell people, like, when it comes time for me to write my book, y'all are going to be on every thread, and they're going to be like, this didn't happen, Kanik. And I'm going to be like, yes, it did, honey, because I got some stories. Like, I have been like hired from one job, and I've been fired from one job and got hired 3 minutes later. Well, I still had like my box in the street walking down Columbia. Like, girl, I got some stories. Okay, like
I got some stories too, sis.
I know you do, especially in entertainment, girl. What? Like, even when it comes down to like when I moved to the city for an unpaid internship, and I thought that was my dream job at the time. If I was so focused on that one dream job, I wouldn't have even taken my second job. I was waiting for this particular job I was working at for free to like get my paperwork together and say, we want you officially. This is what it is. And I got a job offer for my dream job at the time, which was Young Money, Cash Money. And I was like, I do want to work here, but like, I'm supposed to be working here. So like, how do I? And I almost didn't even take that dream job.
I was going to say, what'd you do?
I almost didn't take it because I was so focused on this particular job.
I'm so happy you took it. Well, were you happy in the end that you took that job?
Definitely. Okay. It definitely hit a moment where I was like, okay, I've hit where I'm going to go here. So let me go somewhere else, you know, with most jobs.
Got you.
But at the time, at first I was like, oh, because I felt bad. But then the person at this previous company I was going to work for, they ended up getting let go 2 months later. So I was like, who would have thought, like, if I would have stayed and waited for them to give me that job, which realistically, that's the reason probably why they never even brought me on, because they knew what they was about to do, but they just weren't letting me know. So they were just probably gonna let me sit there for months without pay. You know how that goes. But yeah, so it worked out in that particular situation, you know, but just give the universe space to surprise you.
And then also, I think also a lot of us think that or feel like things are just going to work out in our favor every single time, and everything's just going to be picture perfect. And this is not an Instagram feed, you know what I mean? And it really depends on what your feed looks like and who you follow, because it's different for everybody. For me, I have a lot of transparency on my feed and a lot of relatability and empowerment and inspiration. So for me, it's different, but I think that there's just such, I guess, an obsession with things being perfect and things being unrealistic. And with manifestation, there are pretty and uglies, you know. Like I said, every day looks different, and it's not going to be perfect all the time. But it is I think the power of it is learning what works for you, what you like, what you enjoy, because you probably won't even enjoy writing things down. You probably enjoy saying it out loud or singing it, or listening to a podcast, whatever.
Yeah, which is what I do. I say, I think I say this like every single episode, but for anyone who's tuning in for the first time, something that I do instead of writing things down is I voice memo not all day long, but I voice memo because I like hearing my own voice tell certain situations back to me. Like if I have a good date, I'll like say what the date was, how it went, and I'll keep it and listen back to it later.
I love that.
Or it is the coolest thing to go back and like listen and be like, you know what, Kanika, what were you talking about a year ago today, or like 2 years ago today? Because I've been doing it now for about 3 years. It's been literally like half of the storage on my phone. But I love, someone said, oh my God, same. Yes, I live for it. I love it.
That? You ain't tell me you did that, girl.
Or even how I'm feeling. Yes, I love it. I live for it. Oh, we have some questions coming in.
Yes, I love questions.
Boom. I know. Okay, so we're gonna bring up these 2 questions,
Yay.
and then these are gonna be our last 2 questions for the day. We got cut off. Normally, I cut off right at 9, but
I know
we got some extra time. So, let's see. Yes. Okay, I want to shout out Sunflower Jones because she said you have to show gratitude for what you have to aid in manifesting the things you wish to have. That is like key for me. So if you want a new job, appreciate the things that you like about your current job. If you want a new spouse, you appreciate the things that you like about your current spouse. And for me, that helps me manifest quicker for sure. So if you haven't tried it,
what do you feel about that? Doing that makes it easier or faster?
Makes it easier?
Yeah.
It's because for manifestation, like, well, as far as like frequency goes, right? Like they say the biggest frequency in the universe is gratitude. So I think the thought behind it is like whatever energy you have is the energy that you're going to attract. So when you're feeling really grateful and thankful, that energy that you give off, that energy you feel is going to come right back to you. And the universe will just find more ways to make you feel grateful.
To make you feel.
Now, you won't be able to tap into that gratitude all the time. Because like you were saying, you'll have days when you'll be like, you know what?
Yeah.
Whew, it's a day. Yeah, they try me. It's a day. I'm just gonna let it be a day. It's fine. It's cool. But on days when you do feel like, you know what, I need an extra push, I can get there. Let me just say, you know what, I'm grateful for this situation because it's teaching me A, B, and C. I'm grateful for this person because I got A, B, and C and all that good stuff in between. Ow. Okay, let's get to these questions. Chantel said, let me see, did it come up? Yes. Interesting. So what are the different methods of manifestation for different things? Okay. So I guess I can take this one first. There's so many things. I feel like you, Jacquelyn, have already done a good job of saying methods. So from what you've said already, scripting / journaling is a great method. Writing down what you want. A lot of the times when you write down, I don't know if you write down like this, Jacquelyn, but writing down like, I'm so glad that I got this new job, or I'm so glad I got this apartment, or now that I'm in this dream apartment, I feel so great. I love walking out my apartment and seeing the park, or like scripting as if you already have it, or do you script saying that you want it, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I do both.
Love it.
I do both.
Same. I think it depends on what I'm manifesting, honestly, now that I think about it.
Yeah. So this person asked, how do you do different methods for different things? And there's so many methods, right? I think it depends on what. So let's say if you're trying to manifest like a house, I would suggest to like draw it out. Like draw it out. This is what this room is gonna look like. This is what this room is gonna look
really
like.
Good. Yep, that's a really good idea.
And then put probably like, this is how I would do it. And then I would put like the dates at the top, like moving in on so and so. I'm a very visual person, so that would work for me. But I think that it really depends on the complexity of what you're trying to manifest. Like if it's something that's simple that you can write it down, then cool. But if it's something that is like an actual place, I think that that's something that you have to like map out, kind of.
Yep. I love what you said. I also want to piggyback because Chantel just sent a follow-up question, and she said, does it matter the size of the dream? And I will say, for me, my practices don't necessarily change, but how far I break it down does, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
So like I do the same. Yeah, I do the same thing for everything. I'll script it out. I'll say affirmations. I'll speak it into existence. Another thing that I'll do is I'll try to surround myself with it. So if I'm manifesting an apartment, I'll be on Pinterest looking up photos of how I'm going to decorate it. Like that's something that I do a lot.
I actually listened to this podcast by Essence magazine. And I remember that in one of the podcasts, the hosts and the guests, definitely in spooky season, and the guest was talking about how they manifested things, and they said that they would walk around, like say if you wanted to work at, I don't know, Teen Vogue. Yeah, they would walk around like Condé Nast building and be like, I'm gonna get this job. This is where I'm gonna work.
I've done that. Yep, I've done that before. Yeah, putting my if I can do it, depending on where I'm going, where I feel like I'm like when I was trying to move to Brooklyn, I did that all the time. I would just go around. Now I didn't. You also have to be realistic sometimes for your manifestations. So not that it couldn't have come to me, but at the time when I had first moved to the city, I thought I was going to get like a 1-bedroom for $1,000 in Brooklyn Heights.
Girl.
Yeah. Again, like, not to say, I have a feeling I'll end up there eventually. Something about that area just feels like it's going to call me. But it probably won't be because I found a 1-bedroom for $1K. But maybe, who knows? I'm not shutting down my blessings. I'll take it. I just always felt like if I walk around enough, I'll bump into some elderly old lady who's like, hey, I have a 1-bedroom. Like, I just...
They're really out there too, which is crazy.
They are. That's the crazy thing. I'm gonna have the craziest New York story because I always bump into people I work with and they'll be like, yeah, so I have like a 3-bedroom in Prospect Park for like $1K, and I found it because a woman bumped into me in TJ Maxx and said, like, yes, I have an apartment. Like, I'm waiting for that moment. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm waiting. But I definitely have done that. When I was trying to manifest an apartment in Brooklyn, I would just go and walk around. And me and my roommate at the time, we did so much walking around Bed-Stuy. We were like, it's going to be somewhere over here. So true. Like, this little block, we feel it. And we ended up getting an apartment on that block.
Wow, yes. You know, that just reminded me. I'm like, have I ever done that? I have. The girls' room, you can sit with us event. So we had it at a rooftop, an all pink rooftop space in the city. And it was just so beautiful. It had like two outside patio areas with like beautiful, like tufted pink chairs. It was just so nice.
That space. It's one of my favorite spots. What's the name of that spot again?
What is that?
What's the name of that spot again?
It's called Make Believe.
Make Believe. There we go. Yeah. I told you this when we were talking. I had an artist event up there not too long before you guys had your event at the time.
Yes.
And I was like, what? That's another reason why I was like, I definitely should go because I love that space. Like being on the rooftop, having my drink out. Me and my friends were on that little balcony like, yeah, what's up? Yes. So industry. I love it.
Yes. So I just knew once I saw that spot, I was like, this is it. Like there is no other place that I can have. You can sit with us. Like there's no other place. I literally did not look at other places. I did not look up other places. I said, this is the place. I went there. I had my team meeting there.
Yes.
We had drinks. And I went there on a low-key thing just to, like, test out the service to see how they treated us. And then I saw how it was, and I was like, all right. So then I reached out, and someone said sponsored. I paid for it by myself. But it was just, like, absolutely amazing. And I manifested that for sure. I was there with my sister, and I was like, we're having the event here. It's going to happen here. I know it. And then I started mapping out things. I wrote down on a piece of paper, like, okay, so the DJ booth is there. So we're going to have this there, this there, this there. And then I want to say like within 2 weeks, because it took them forever to get back to me, which I understand because they were just like super busy. And when I was reaching out to them, it was the summertime, which is like probably their most busiest time to have a rooftop.
Summer in the city rooftop.
And in the city. And a lot of artists go there and celebs. Like when I had my event there was a lot of celebrities staying at that hotel because it was like a huge, I forgot what event it was, but it was that weekend. But yeah, I manifested that building. I totally did.
Yes,
I was like,
I'm gonna have that building. Here. Yes, Sunflower Jones in the comments said, I know someone who manifested a 5-bedroom. She didn't have the money and the owners were millionaires. They met and loved her and ended up gifting her the home and gave her a $15,000 check to furnish. Let me tell you something.
Wait, what?
It happens.
Twitter threads.
It happens. That's why I'm like, I don't know how it's going to happen. I'm just waiting for the universe to bless me. But I always bump into people with crazy stories like that.
And then eventually,
it is. Like and eventually, let me tell you when it changed for me. Girl, let me tell you something. I'm going to give you guys this wonderful affirmation. And I need all y'all to write this down like stat. Is I believe in multiple miracles. The moment I open myself up to miracles, just miracles in a sense, right? When you start studying manifestation, a lot of people teach you to believe that miracles are natural. Miracles in your head before you start manifesting sounds like something that happens once in a lifetime, like getting hit by a car and surviving. Like it sounds very much like, oh, it's a miracle, right? It doesn't happen often. The moment I started repeating, I manifest multiple miracles, my life changed completely. It sounds insane, but like with, I think I adopted that affirmation to say it every morning, maybe in like September of last year. And within a month of me saying it, I was down like 20 pounds. I got fired from a job, but I got hired in the next one in like 3 minutes. It's the craziest story that no one will believe. Me and you will have to talk about that online because it's a crazy story. I found a boyfriend at the time, and all of this happened within the span like really, really small. And then I was like, oh, this was a miracle. How I did this was okay, I see the tea. So, and I've had so many circumstances like that afterwards. And then when I started manifesting it for myself, I started seeing other people who had miracles around me and random people who I wouldn't even know miracles. And I would be like, that is so, wait, sorry. So you mean to tell me that you got this random check in the mail from who? You don't even know them. Got it. So you mean to tell me that you found this apartment and like someone I know found a 2-bedroom apartment in Prospect Heights for like $1,400, a 2-bedroom, and then they ended up splitting it up with their partner, and it was big and it was nice and it was spacious and it was in like nice, like very nice, and they just so happened to bump into people who were like, sure, you're looking for something, no problem. So the moment that you open up yourself to like the impossible happens. I promise y'all. I wouldn't even lie to you. I would not even lie to you. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's not gonna happen all the time. So just because one miracle or two happen, that doesn't mean that every day of your life is going to be like that, because that's just not life. But you open up yourself up to it a little bit, it's easier to receive it.
How would you say that you open yourself up to miracles?
Love it. First off, that affirmation was key, because I feel like the more I repeated it, the more the universe started to show me miracles, if that made a sense. Makes any sense. I would see people posting about it and I would be like, wow. And I would also say me being grateful for other people when they would experience something really good that's happening to them. I won't say before that I was envious at all, but because I am mentally like competitive, I would be like, okay, if this person has this, that means I should be somewhere close, or really not envious, but like comparing really heavy. And making it so like, wait, who said, hold on, I saw something about election day.
Me too.
I'm going to use that for election day. Let me tell you something, honey.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. That 100% is going to be me before next week. I actually need to script a bunch of stuff about next week. I can't put that out enough. But yeah, I would say definitely being grateful for other people when they would experience their miracles helped me out a lot. And saying I open myself up to miracles. And then also listening to certain frequencies on YouTube helped me out a lot. So if you look up like miracle frequency, it's basically just like, it's like when like those little like vibey kind of tunes. If that makes sense. Like basically it's just like a sound wave that'll just play in the background. I would listen to that when I would go to sleep too, for anybody who's looking for like realistic things.
I'm going to look it up.
Yes, do it, sis. And I got you. I'll text you some too, because I'm probably going to listen to one tonight. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wow. I've also text messages from people too. And that in itself was a miracle. Like I manifested a text from an ex. I hadn't talked to them in like, I manifested a call from them and I hadn't talked to them in 5 years. And someone told me a manifesting practice that's like, wouldn't it be nice if? And I was like, oh, I'll try it. And I would be like, wouldn't it be nice if I heard from blank? And I just left it alone, didn't think about it. That week, he called me. I was like, this works. It's not going to work with everything, but it worked with that. I was like, dang, that's crazy. Because again, this is not somebody I talk to every day. This is somebody I talk to like every once in a while. And once in a while means like every 2 or 3 years. Let me see. I
was just reading out some comments.
Yes,
thank you guys so much for tuning in, for being here, for being a part of this conversation.
Yes, it's been such a good one. I feel like I didn't even realize it was 9:15 already. You know, normally it cuts you off automatically after. And exactly, I love it. But I am gonna wrap it up.
Yes.
This has been so incredible. Thank you so much, Jacquelyn. You are so humble and so cool. And if you guys don't follow Jacquelyn or the Girls Room NYC, definitely do. If you guys don't follow Soul Sister Network and you're coming from the Girls Room end, definitely come and follow us. We have lives like this every week.
Yes.
And events every so often, about once a month, where we talk all about manifestation and we break it down and give it wonderful practices. One thing that we're doing right now actually is New You November, which is breaking down all about the wonderful steps it takes to manifest. All you need to do is sign up in our email. It's just a daily email with things like we're talking about, affirmations and journal practices that you can use for whatever it is you're trying to manifest. So that could be a house, that could be a spouse, that could be money, which is big on my radar right now. I'm like, yes, 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 money. That's what I need. That's what I'm focused on. Okay. Yes. I'm like, give me a check. That's my energy. But thank you again, Jacquelyn. You are the best. How can people stay in contact with you? How can we keep following you? What can we expect next from you in the girls' room? What's up?
Yeah. So you guys can follow the Girls Room NYC. Don't do it right now. Stay here until we're finished.
Exactly. So gotta get this information.
My personal is Jacquelyn Cornier. And what you can, sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear my puppy, but he's
I love him.
I haven't been with him since I got out of work, and I got out of work at 2. I went to vote, and then I went to Atlantic Records event virtually, and I'm here. So he's just like, where are you?
Where are you?
But what you guys can expect from the Girls Room is us pushing really good content. And when I say really good, I want to say relatable and
always
realistic and authentic and for us, by us. And I'm really excited for our editor to push forward, editorial pieces and articles. It's really necessary. And you could just expect me to show more face. I think that I showed a lot of face in the beginning of my journey with the Girls Room, but as things has picked up, I haven't really been as present on social. And so my intention is to continuously have conversations like this and to continuously collaborate with other women. So if you're interested in collaborating with me and the Girls Room, let us know if you want to collaborate, if you have any ideas, or if there's anything that you want to see. We're here for everyone. So that's what you guys can expect. Just all good stuff.
Yes. All for us, all by us. I love it. Literally, I think that's the first thing that I feel like I bonded with you over, was the fact that we were both women of color.
Yeah.
Having a community and building a community specifically for us. And that makes all the difference. Yeah, it really does. And it is. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Jacquelyn, you are the best. People are saying part 2. We definitely got to do a part 2 in some point.
We could definitely
find more ways to collab. We'll definitely find more ways to collab. We can figure out something. We
can talk more about it. But yeah, just text me. But thank you guys so much for being here. I hope that you guys manifest an amazing day tomorrow. And manifest like an amazing rest of 2020. I know that it's been so hard, but the more that we're like, oh, this sucks, and like all these bad things keep happening, the more we're going to manifest those bad things to happen. So yeah, just continuously be positive. Try your best even on your darkest days,
Yes, come on with the last minute jewel. I love it. What a great way to end. Yes,
I got you, girl.
Jacquelyn. I love it. But have a great night, guys.
You too.
You're the best, sis. I will talk to you soon.
Okay.
And I will see you guys soon with our next episode.
Bye, guys.
Mwah. Bye, y'all. Mwah.